What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the question where you have the questions and I have the answers. And today I wanted to talk about a realization that I had in my FSEM earlier this week. This week we talked about feminist theory and how it is portrayed in film and media and also in international politics, but that's to a lesser extent and not very relevant to what I'm going to say. But if you want to hear about that, please comment below. I would love to go in depth about feminist theory within politics and international relations. It is hugely fascinating, but it's not relevant to what I'm talking about today. So I'm going to shut the fuck up. Before we get started, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Give me a share. I make educational videos about history and politics, and sometimes I just do little blurbs or rants, which I think is what this is going to be. So please, if you're new, welcome to the family. If you're not, you know the drill. So the realization that I had this week is that film bros hide their gaslighting through valid criticisms of films. And I came to this realization when I was thinking about a lot of female-led feminist films that did very poorly among film bro groups and did very poorly overall, and why that may be in the context of the patriarchy, toxic masculinity, and femininity and feminism culture. And I realized that these film bros, which I think we can all agree is a very toxic, ultra hyper masculinity group, like they're the machismo culture of the film universe. And that realization is that, as I said before, they will hide their insecurity and their gaslightiness through critical and valid critiques of films. Because while you do hear from some, the main criticisms of female-led films or feminist films isn't that they're bad because they're feminist or they're bad because there's women in the lead. No one usually outright says that. It's always, well, the writing was bad, or this character was poorly written, or the actress was unlikable, the character was unlikable, or she was too powerful, or was too preachy. And these are valid criticisms to have about literature, film, TV, media, all of the above. These are very valid criticisms to have, but they only give those criticisms to female-led films or feminist films. And while some of these may be valid, it is very hard, especially when male writers like the Russo brothers are writing a feminist film or female-led film when we know for a fact they are sexist. It's going to be problematic. But that's not what they mean when they say these critiques. What they're saying is they don't like the film because there's women in it or because it is about a female message. But they hide that through those valid critiques. And I realized that, and that just only serves to gaslight the feminist community or gaslights the female community by, once again, undermining the validity of their interests and the validity of their comments. Because I personally really like Captain Marvel as a character, as the movie. I also really liked Birds of Prey and the Black Widow movie. But a lot of film bros did not, because of everything I said before. The characters were too annoying, they were badly written, the actresses were are annoying, the message was preachy because it's all women, because it's trying to say too much, it's not naturally occurring, it was forced, all that stuff. But was it really? Objectively, was it really? And you could say yes, you could say no. It's whatever. But are those same criticisms applied to male-led movies? Are those same criticisms applied to all male movies? Because you always hear that those criticisms come up when it's an entirely female-led movie, but there are so many completely, male movies that you never hear these same criticisms for. And so that's when I came to my realization that they aren't valid criticisms, not from these people. They're just used to gaslight us and put feminists back into that box of there is only one correct way to portray a strong woman, and anything outside of that undermines your message. It makes your message less valid and less credible. And that creates a system where feminists are now shaping their message and their fight towards the very people that they are fighting. It's like you have to be X, Y, and Z in order to be a valid feminist. But men shouldn't but toxic men, like film bros, should not get to decide that. We shouldn't let the patriarchy decide what feminism looks like. And in the film industry, we see a lot of them doing just that, deciding what feminism and what strong female power should look like. And usually it is coming from men. And that makes no sense. And then it just breeds infighting, because we want validity in these circles. And so we say, yeah, maybe Captain Marvel wasn't the best movie. Maybe it was too preachy. Maybe it was too feminist to be an actually good film. That doesn't matter. Good or bad films does not matter. If you watch a film or read a book or anything, for the sheer quality of it, just because you only like good quality things, because you actually derive enjoyment or feeling from it, that's a red flag. I've dated enough guys like that. I dated one guy like that. That is definitely a red flag. Media exists, like music, to get you to feel something or think about something. It doesn't exist to be the best at something, So why do we let that stop us? Why do we let that hinder us so much? We look at films like Black Widow and they're like, it feels forced, or the writing's not good. And we're like, oh shit, I'm sorry. I'll try again. Like, no, if you enjoy these movies, you should enjoy them. They're an important message and important pieces in cinema and in cinematic universe. And we shouldn't let film bros decide what's good or what's bad, because it ultimately doesn't matter, And yeah, films come in different qualities, but that's why we love them. They're a good quality shit, And there's B-rated movies, and people love all of them, and that doesn't really matter. But it only comes to female-led films, it's suddenly a big deal about whether it's a good or bad film. And if it's a bad film, then that automatically makes it unvalid, it's no longer, it's like, oh, you failed, try again, I didn't like it, you didn't get women's rights this time, I didn't think that she was sexy enough, I didn't think that there was enough men in this film, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to revoke those voting rights, I guess. And so that's made me really angry, just realizing that. And so I've been saying men are trash a lot, because it's a valid response, but also men are like this because of the media. Men suffer under the patriarchy just as much as women do, but in a very different way. And it's because of this, and the way that they suffer, aside from the same way that women suffer, sexual assault and abuse and objectification, but also they are socialized to believe that they're basically on their own, that no one is coming to help them, that no one should help them, and that they're entitled to these places in life. And so any person who also is in those same places as them is automatically a threat. The patriarchy isolates men from each other, isolates everyone from each other, but especially isolates men, because while women are more socialized to be in groups and to, be mature both emotionally and mentally faster than guys, you take that as you will, we socialize more often, men are alone. and they aren't encouraged to not be alone. And that's another important part of feminism, which I feel like gets forgotten a lot, is that under the patriarchy, everyone suffers in different ways. So we have to adapt our feminism to reach people where they're at. You know, the discrimination a white cis woman is going to face is different from the discrimination that a man is going to face under the patriarchy. You know, it's different from than what a black woman is going to face under the patriarchy, or a black man, or someone who is not cis, someone who is trans, someone who is intersex, someone who is queer. And then you combine all of those to make unique things, like misogynoir. A black woman is going to experience different discrimination from both a black man and a white woman, you know? Because now she has to put up with both racism and sexism. And not only sexism, but specifically racial, racial sexism. Because we have different stereotypes and different biases and prejudices against each sex, each sexuality within each subculture, each race, each ethnicity, each religion. It's a never-ending, variations of suffering under the patriarchy. And we have to recognize that and broaden our mindsets to really start to deconstruct what is patriarchal thinking and how to combat it. I was in international politics class and we were talking about how a sexist thing or something that is in need of feminist thinking is how a lot of people are biased towards minorities or towards women in the belief that they are automatically better than men, or automatically better or more just or more pure than the majority. Like, someone like people of color believes that they can do no wrong compared to white people who can only do wrong. And that's harmful because it dehumanizes both sides. It makes people think that white people can only do harm while insinuating that people of color can do no harm, and that erases that human aspect that everybody has the ability to do harm. Women can sexually assault. Black people can be colorist and can, hurt each other as well. And so assuming that women are automatically more peaceful, automatically more demure, automatically better than men is also a sexist and misogynistic idea, because it erases the idea that women can do bad things when women can also sexually assault, as I said before, but also erases the idea that men can do good things. Men are in a position of power a lot of the time, but even though we say all men, and we laugh about, oh, it's not all men, but it is all women. It's like, yeah, it's not all men, and we have to recognize that and adapt our feminism to include everyone, or that includes ableism and all the different religions, because discrimination looks different for everyone under a patriarchy and under all of these oppressive systems. Like the Women's March, the founders of the Women's March don't like Jews. And while they may fight for all women, they don't fight for Jewish women, and that's not very feminist of them. Yeah. Yes, that's it. I didn't want to make this video too long. It's like 13 minutes. So that's what I learned, and I hope you can take this with you and let it sit with you, and maybe you can begin to apply this type of thinking, this feminist thinking, to your life. Because once you start to deconstruct patriarchal mindset, it really helps you to understand people. and only understand the systems in place. So until next time, so long and thanks for all the fish. Be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.